You say, well, that wasn't a dollar store I went to. No, that was just God protecting you. You say, well, that wasn't a Walmart I went to. That was God just protecting you. You say, well, I'm just, allow me to use my foot. That ain't the dealers I work at. No, that was just God protecting you. And sometimes, whether you believe in God or not, he takes care of all of us. But you know one thing about it, when I look at that day there in that first verse, it said, they that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion. And you know, when you trust in God, you're going to receive some protection from God. You're going to receive some mercy to God. And it's just good to know on this August 27, 2023, a week after being in revival, that if you'll just put your hands in the hands of the man that comes to see, everything will be all right. Well, how do I know, preacher? Because, you know, when we got in our car this morning, we might have put, we didn't have to have a GPS and all that and everything else, but I reminded one of the preachers that goes back and forth, Royal Thunder, I said, now, when you get in your car in the morning and you travel from Dallas to Mount Pleasant, one thing we all have to remember is that we are all co-pilots.
Yeah.
You say, well, I got my driver's license, I've been driving for all this long of my life and everything else. But unless God is behind the wheel, you may be subject to a blowout, you may be subject to car trouble, you may be subject to all those different things. And my plea is that every time I get in, I say, Lord, you provide us traveling grace and arrive in mercy. Because, God, I know if you're behind the wheel, it doesn't make any difference whether it's a Ford, whether it's a Volvo, whether it's a Mercedes-Benz. As long as God is in control, we can make it from point A to point B. Well, why you say that, preacher? Because when you look, it says most accidents happen within 5 miles of the house. But God is that solid rock. He is that anchor. He is the one that we can depend on when things get rough. Well, preacher, why are you saying trust in God? Because you know what? Here's a warning. Sometimes when you trust in God, you might be all by yourself.
Amen. Amen.
But I think about it like this. It's just good to have one in every family. That says, this, despite what goes on in my life, preacher, I'm going to trust in God. Well, you say, well, why you say that? See, because now this is just my theory. This is one I give you for free, because I believe sometimes that even though we don't have all of our members attending church, brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles and cousins, I believe that God always has one that will come forth and trust in God, and he or she will secure the blessing for the rest of the family. Well, you may not believe that, but you know, we got nephews running around and uncles and cousins and everything else, ain't thinking about God. But it's somebody in the family that's trusting in God and is keeping all of us before the star posting glory. Because whether we want to believe it, well, I believe it not. See, you still living off of some of grandma's prayer. You still living off of some of mama's prayer. You say, well, she been going on in the glory. I don't even know what your mama died. I don't even know what your grandma died. But God knows. And he said, because, and while we were out there running the street and acting wild a lot of time, and we're trying to fulfill our own personal agenda, grandma was at home praying, the great auntie was at home praying, people were at home praying, and that's why you're here right now on August 27, 2023. Because somebody trusted in God. Well, what do you mean, preacher? A warning, you might have to stand by yourself. Because, okay, we're living in a world now. Ellen Alexander posted, see, we're living in a world now what we ought to be ashamed of, we proud of. And the church got quiet. Preacher, move on. I'm going to say that one more time. I'm like Milton, you can put that in your comments. But some of the things that we ought to be ashamed of, we are proud of now. And what you got to remember, that while you are trusting in God, somebody on the other hand is disregarding all the things of God. But when just give him credit for watching over you last night. Just give him credit for having food on the table when you got up this morning. See, it's a difference in being able, I heard one man say this, Uncle Weldon, he said, now, we didn't delay a lot of meals in our house, we just had to postpone. See, every now and then, it's not going to be food on the table. Every now and then, you might not, but if you just keep on trusting in God. But then, the world is now disregarding things of God. But I think about Joshua 24 and 15. He said, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And when you look back, I didn't do much. But now, everybody wasn't in love with Joshua as the leader of the Israelites. And when you come forth on your job talking about, but it's for me and my family, me and my house, we will serve the Lord, you're going to gain a little flack. But while you're gaining flack from those on the outside, God is creating a new you on the inside, so everything is all right as long as you begin to trust in God. And then when I think about what goes on in this first verse, see, you got to realize, see, that once you begin to trust in God, you got to cultivate that. Amen. And I'm just going to say this. It's important if the Lord wake us up on Sunday morning. I know we got vacations. I know we got time for here and time for there. But every now and then, but on the days when you don't have that, you ought to wake up on Sunday morning and say, I got to get to the house of God because I got to cultivate my trust in God. God has been too good to me. My children not in jail. My husband's acting right. My wife's acting right. And you know what? This is about the only shot we going to get to worship God. So, put everything else on hold and come to the house of God. And we will worship and praise God together because in God we trust. And then, see, you say, well, why preach about trusting God? Why should I come here? Because you know what? One of the poets that, I forget who it was, he said, now sometimes we just have to come to church to wear away the rust of the week. See, you done gone through some stuff you may not been able to tell nobody about, didn't want to share with nobody about, but because you trust in God, you're here and you're able to get a clean slate. If truth be told, see, church ought to be your therapy. Get rid of all your problems, get rid of all your anxiety. Now, I'm not against people that have to go, and see professionals and all that and everything else. But when the storms of life come sometime and the psychiatrist's office is not open, Brother Lee, when the storms of life come sometime and you can't get to the doctor, when the storms of life, all you got to do is just get somewhere in your secret closet and tell God all of your trouble, because you know what? You're going to need a spiritual foundation to make it while you're in this world. And that's what the writer wanted them to know. He said, now you check your spiritual foundation and see how things are going with you. And just to show you, it's essential to have a spiritual foundation. And but now a Dr. Uncle Weldon that was working on me and doctored on me, he's gone on in the glory. So what are you saying? See, you say, well, I got all my hope and my trust in whoever it might be. But what you got to realize, one day they got to leave from here. But if you trust in God, as loved ones leave us, and because you know what, He's a company keeper. Even when you're lonely and all of that and everything else. And so when we look at this first verse here, he says, now, they that trust in the Lord shall be. And David was talking about Jerusalem here. But now what Jerusalem was is, now even though Jerusalem was located on Mount Zion, it wasn't the highest mountain in Mount Zion, because they said there was other mountains around them that was higher than where Jerusalem was located, and God had situated them like that because he said, now, because we got these mountains around us, God has already given you natural protection. Well, what do you mean natural? He said, because before the enemy can get to you, he got to either go around the mountain, through the mountain, over the top of the mountain, and so Jerusalem was protected not only by the natural, but by the spiritual. So what are you saying, preacher? See, once you invite God into your life, and God will already give you the protection that you need. And then I think about it, he said, now you're going to be like a mountain. I think about it. And what he said was, in God, saints are immovable. What do you mean, preacher? What about the mountain? See, volcanoes erupt, but the mountains still standing. And you'll look Mount St. Helens and all the mountains over there in Hawaii and all them caught on fire and everything else. But after the dust settles, the mountains are still standing. Snow falls on the mountain, but they're still standing. People climb them, but they're still standing. So the thing is about you, once you've gone through all your troubles in life, once God has put a hedge of protection around you, people going to abuse you, people going to talk about you, people not going to like you, they ain't going to like your neighborhood, they ain't going to like your clothes, they ain't going to like your clothes, but you got to remember that God has already put a hedge of protection around you. Excuse me, like we say, the more you talk, the more I stay on my knees, and so everything is all right. But they wanted a wicked ruler, and God had, the writer was telling me, you need a foundation while we're going through this wicked rulership. And then even over in Proverbs, they said, when wicked men are in office, the wise men hide. He said that when good men are elected, they come back out because they know they can go and offer advice. Look at the times that we're living in. Now, I think Trump just get in trouble so he can make the news every week. Amen. You don't see no other, you don't hardly see no other political figure out there clamoring for the limelight. But what I'm saying is, whatever how the case gonna come out, behold, your sins will find you out. And the thing is about it is, and then not only that, but look how many people he brought into the loop with him. And everybody was asking, why didn't somebody stand up? Because, when I'm under control of a wicked man, I just do what the wicked man say in order to have my job. But sometimes it ought to be somebody say, you know what, that I'm going to trust in God. Like this example that I heard Dr. Evans talk about it one time. He said a man was hired on a job. And said he'd been there for quite a while. And the boss told him, said, now, the next woman that you hire, tell her that she will have to have an affair with me. That's going to be part of her job description. And the man looked at him. He told me, he said, I won't do it. He said, because I believe in trusting God enough. And he said, I'm not going to let you engage in conduct like that with a woman and then subject a woman like that. And he said, you fired. Came back to Dr. Evans. He told me, he said, because I stood up on my job. He said, I lost my job. He said, well, we're going to pray for you. Hang on in there and everything. Gets less than 3 months later. He got a new job. All that he had lost in that 3 months time, God doubled it and brought him back to where he was. Now, we don't know how long trouble's gonna last sometime when we stand up for God. We don't know how, we don't know whether we're gonna get down to our last meal. We don't know whether we're gonna get down to our last dollar. We don't know whether they're gonna come repossess the car. We don't know whether they, and sometimes, sometimes I just have to say that if you give up on God because of that, I can't really hold you to blame because everything that you work for, you've seen going out the door. But if you hang on in there long enough, and then we saw, because like I said a moment ago, God helped my house despite what's in the White House, just because we see other men do wickedness. Because that's what it says there in the second verse. He says that the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so is the Lord round about his people. From verse 3 said, for the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous. All we got to do be able to say is, God is my rod. Because see, when you set your mind not to do evil, God will just give you a mindset to stay away from it. And it's so much that can befall us now. I was watching a show the other day, and a while back, they making, you can make a scam out of coupons now. And I'm sure some of y'all saw it maybe on one of these other shows. The woman was scamming off of coupons and making coupons more bad. And the only way that they got caught, her husband was too lazy. He said, now, don't drop these in the mailbox in front of the house. Take them on across town. And he got too lazy one day to do that. And they had cameras. And that's where it all unravels. So sometimes things are going to be presented to us in life. They're going to seem rosy. They're going to seem profitable. They're going to seem tempting. But see, God has given us enough examples to let us know you can run and run and run and run. But after a while, the long arm of the law is going to reach out and it's going to grab you, because it says here for the rod of the wicked, because God said, now I'm not going to let no wicked or no evil come against you. But then the thing is about, see, you got to have a discernment about evil too. We've been taught all our life what is right and what is wrong, because see, if you keep the wicked, if God is keeping the wicked off of you, then you ought to be able to protect yourself from evil too. Because it says down here in this full verse, do good, O Lord, unto those that be good, and to them that are upright and holy. And I said this morning, as I repeated it from Sunday school, I said, ants are a whole lot better than what we are. I said, because when an ant finds some good, Sister Morgan, he sent a signal out. And ants just come, we fight them hard over there in the kitchen. But God gave him sense enough to say, look, when you find something good, send a signal out. 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, 100. They just start coming from everywhere. But sometimes God can bless us where we're in a position to do good. And you say, before I share, I'll let it rot. I'll let it freeze or burn. I'll let it get to this. I'll let it get to that. But if God has been good to you, every now and then, I ain't saying on a daily basis, but every now and then, you ought to say, well, God, you know what? You blessed me. And I can't use it all. Well, you can spend it all. But I can't use it all. But somewhere down the line, because it's in there, God, I know the writer said, I know you're going to do good to those that do good. And so if no good is going on in your life, ask yourself, have I taken time out to help somebody this week, this month, this year? And I think on the general consensus, I can almost say, this, that most of us have reached out beyond ourselves and to help somebody else. Now, I saw a quote earlier in the week that said this. He said, if you always doing something running that pleases you, at least one person is satisfied. But I think about even the words of Superintendent Lamont Dean. He said, now, all right. He said, I won't hire a coach that won't take kids home. He said, because of what I did, what I had to go through when I was going. And so every now and then, you may be the coach to take kids home. Every now and then, you might be the co-worker that take another co-worker home. But if you're going the same way, what's the strain? If you're in the same neighborhood, what's the strain? If you say, well, when you put another person in my car, that make my car way more. I use more gas. Gas is that's true. Gas is $3.39 a gallon. But if God see you helping somebody out, amen. I just believe he'll make your gas last longer if you'll do right by somebody. I do. You say, well, Greg, you just saying it because you miss Melissa and your mind ain't right this morning. But I just believe that if you do right by folks, all right. See, y'all won't be. I'm gonna just do something right here that okay. For years we've had the food ministry on Sunday. And somebody said, well, why don't them folks send some money back every now and then? You ain't got to worry about it. They do. Because you know what? Every week almost, when Vic and Elise come back in you, Sister so-and-so says, I know y'all been sending my mama a plate every Sunday. Here's a donation to the church. I didn't know it was y'all Starrville that was giving my auntie a plate every Sunday. Here's a donation. And just time. And these are not people that's getting the plates. These are the people that know about that their people are getting plates. And they just say within themselves, since Starrville is doing good to my mama and auntie and whoever it might be, we're going to just do good and send a little money back. Buy some plates, buy some forks, whatever it is. So if you do good, young folks in it. Yeah, that's right. And Ronnie and Mama can vouch for this because I don't know why it is, but everybody that send money to the church send it through them, but that's all right. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times we are just sitting here listening to the preacher preach out of Psalm 125, and then all of a sudden a random thought will come across our mind. Ronnie, check the church's Zelle account, whatever it is, And you check the Zelle account, and somebody consistent every month. Amen. I'm just going to tell you how good God is. Leon Team, Miss Bourne when she was living, Vincent Ingram, everybody else. And so you know what? If you do good, somebody will say, you know what? That's my home church. I ain't been there in 40 years. But because I see y'all doing good and God blessing y'all while y'all do good, it ain't all about the money. Sometimes it's just about, well, it is. But what I'm saying is, somebody away from here. Oh, you're right. Because now I'm just going to say this, and I'm not trying to show anybody up, but if Miss Leon Teen Timmer walk in, there would probably be 2 people that know her. Well, 3 or 4. Few of y'all might know Vincent. Few of y'all might know Vincent, but what I'm saying is, and when he was sending the donate, he said, you know what, I still consider Starrville to be my home church. So what are you saying? God blessed him to go out there and make a good living, and he didn't just blow it all on the car. He said, I'm going to send some of it back. So, when I think, that's the guarantee. That's the guarantee down there in verse 4. It wasn't a guarantee from Greg. It wasn't a guarantee from the angel. But God said, do good, the writer said, do good, O Lord, unto those that be good, and to them that are upright in their hearts. Now, you know what make all of that flow like it's supposed to do, whenever we check the account or whenever the month. If you ain't got it in your heart, you ain't thinking about nothing. I tell you right there, if you ain't thinking about paying your bills, you don't mind them foreclosing on your stuff. But you got it in your heart that when the light bill comes, you're going to pay the light bill. Yeah. And I think what makes us fear now, Talisha, is they ain't got to come to the house, Kevin, and clip it no more. Used to be that, a long time ago when they used to have to come out, climb a pole. Yeah. Now, you sitting there watching your Netflix film, all of a sudden the screen go black. You thought Kevin messed up something in the house. You say, oh, Lord, I forgot to pay the Netflix bill. And then you know what? You can get on the phone right there. I'm talking about how God works. You can get on the phone right then. And in 2 or 3 minutes, it's restored. But see, if we don't teach our children, I'm talking about put it in their hearts and minds. If we don't teach them to pay everybody, God, we just raising up a society of kids think all my money is mine. You know, I was looking at a post on Facebook the other day, and the man said, I get paid on Friday. And there was another little caption down there, and the bill said to this, the bill said, no, we get paid on Friday. But God said over here, he said, now, you're going to be under a wicked ruler. You're going to need a spiritual foundation. You're going to need something to weather the storm. And see, a lot of times, you know, they try to come against us. They say, oh, you better off on the Biden or on the Reagan or on the whoever it was. I'm better off because I trust in God. The car I got, it gets me back and forth to work. I don't have to delay or postpone no meal. I'm concerned that our presidents, whoever they might be, ought to have a good heart. But God just told me over there in Philippians 4 that if I call upon his name, everything is going to be all right. Because, you know, you got folk now that they're arguing over why you defending a president like we had. I'm not finna spend my time. You want to talk about Jesus, we'll talk about him, but every man is going to have to pay for the sins he committed.
Yes, sir. Luke says.
If you want to engage the conversation in me, you know, I thank God now, as I said in previous, that I'm just down to a blood thinner for my heart condition. Biden didn't have nothing to do with that. Trump didn't have nothing to do with that. Abbott didn't have nothing to do with it. I know it was some folk that were praying for me. And said, lift our pastor up, lift my daddy up, lift my husband up, wherever your prayers came from, that if you do right by God and do God by God, God will fix it sometime where you can decrease your medicine. Because he said in that full verse there, he said, you just keep on doing good. And then in that field verse, he said, I got something for the wicked too.
Yeah.
And you know, you know, a lot of times you can stand a person being wicked if they show some remorse. Really, I mean, all these killers and everything else, when the judges talk to them and the lawyers talk with them, they say, well, you know, we could have took it a whole lot better than he. If he just, but you know what, God can harden your heart. I mean, that's what, you know, so when you see okay, don't you know if that man had God on his mind, he wouldn't have killed 4 people. God would have kept him. And then, you know, what we got to remember is this, is that Satan knows how to use personalities.
Oh, yeah.
And so he just used this man, and not only that, but so we have to be careful. Like Bishop Butler, you said, we got to mind, my brother, how we walk on the cross, off our foot might slip. And so, because you know what, whether we realize or not, when Melissa went to one of her cousin's graduation in 1989, he's been here several times to visit. And the boy was giving a graduation speech. Everybody thought he was going to talk about how successful, you know, everybody's going to be 5 years from now. He said, you know what, he said, I want to start this message off by just telling you this. In the class of 1989, there are going to be some robbers. There are going to be some murderers. There are going to be some pedophiles. And everybody just looked at him like he was crazy. But he was true. So I don't care what class you graduated from, 79, 82, 76. When you go back and look down the line, we got off track and some of them did some things that were they're paying for it with their lives now. But we got to stay close to the Lord. You got to say, Lord, whatever, you know, if I need to be whooped, whoop me. Amen. If I need to be chastised, Lord, chastise. Lord, keep me in the way where I will be pure, because I'm relying on that full verse again, Lord. If I do good, I know you're going to do good unto me. But then in that 5th verse, he says here, as for such as turn aside unto their crooked ways, the Lord shall lead them forth with work of iniquity. He said, I'm just going to put them all in one big group. And then you're going to be allowed to see it. You say, how can we survive in this world with all this wickedness going on? Because we trust in God. And you know, things that are happening now, y'all, are happening on the phone that you never would have thought happened. I'm giving us just a due notice, okay? Because now, this was a scam and it's still going, and you got to be careful. They will call you on, Kevin, allow me to use you. We'll talk about it later. They'll call you on the phone and tell you your daughter's been in a wreck. She's on her way to the county jail, but if you give her $4,000, we'll keep her from going to jail. She just ran over somebody and killed her. And so your first thought is, that's my baby.
Yeah.
Where am I gonna get the $4,000 from? And then cause your mind's in a rush. But slow down, take your time and say, wait a minute. I don't know. If Angela had been in a wreck, she would have called me. But you got people that they show on the news that I was so desperate I went to the bank and I got the money.
Yeah, $9 last week.
Yeah. And so this is what life is all about. See, sometimes you got to slow down and think within yourself. And I'm not saying that we ought to delay when it comes to news like that. But sometimes you ought to just hang up the phone, and after a while, time will show whether it was right or not. Because you got people that are sitting every day, rather than going out on a job and saying, you know what? If we run this scam long enough, we can get rich. If we run this scam long enough, okay, let's bring it where you understand that. But look how many that look like me went to jail behind the PPF loans or PPL or whatever they were called. No, you wasn't running a pressure washing business. Got a loan for $19,000 and then quit your job. And then just like everything else, beware when the government say they're giving out free money. And a lot of people made their money just filling out the paperwork. And preacher, you want a $20,000 loan, you fill it out, and you get your $20,000, you give me a grant. And then what happened? The government said, we coming to catch everybody that had something to do with it. Amen. They started, I'm just going to use this in Harlem, just because God said now when you do wrong, there's a reckoning day for it. But that 4 words, he said, to them that do good, and then it says uprightness up, but then it says here, but peace shall be upon Israel. He said, Israel, you're going through all of this wickedness. He said, but I'm going to give you some protection that you can lay down at night as a country, lay down at night as an individual, lay down, and you don't have to worry about anything. Because how many it ain't about your ring. It ain't about your security system. When God says he's gonna keep us safe, trouble can be all around. Be up at your neighbor's house, next door. But when God says he's gonna keep you safe, you can go in there and sleep without abandonment. And it's good to have all those different things. But when the final analysis comes, you said, and I thought about what it says that, see, we ought to put something over our doorpost or in our house or something that symbolizes that we trust in God, that God, when we go in and out, you're going to take care of us. When we lay down, you're going to take care of us. While we are eating, you're going to take care of us. And then just let God do the rest. And then he says, peace shall be upon. And this peace that he's talking about is, see, God can give us peace in the middle of chaos. All this stuff that's going on out there in the world. Now, some of these folk running for president know they ain't got a snowball chance. I think they just want to be on TV and see glory. Now, if Tim Scott end up being president, we're going to be shoveling snow in August. But that's what God says. God said, now, you got to be careful of all these people that you see. They want to be our rulers. I'm an independent, I'm a liberal, I'm this and that. I ain't heard nobody say I'm a follower of Christ. I ain't heard nobody say I trust in the Lord. I ain't heard none of the politicians say my church membership is at Mount Tabor First Baptist Church in Iowa. So what are you saying? Come what may, whatever goes on, in God we trust. I will trust in the Lord. I will trust in in the Lord until I die. Maybe there's one today that believes that in God we trust. Maybe there's one that believes that God offers protection. We know that God offers good to those that are upright in heart. He says in Matthew 11 and 28, come unto me, all ye that are burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. The doors of the church are open at this time. In the Lord until I die, I am going to treat it.